What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Superdwarf Show. My name is Thomas Wicker.
I'm Garrett Hartle.
Superdwarf Show is brought to you by Ship Your Reptiles. Ship Your Reptiles is the only company that we use for shipping reptiles around here. They're great. Go check them out.
They're the only company we have ever used for years. Ship Your Reptiles. I have used many shipping companies in the past. The only exception would be animals that were literally too big for FedEx that we shipped, like in crates, Delta Cargo, stuff like that. But I don't know that people know that we have literally only ever used Ship Your Reptiles. There's a reason
Must
for
mean
it,
they
right?
got something good going on there.
Yeah, absolutely. So, yeah, that's fun stuff for us. We got some fun stuff for you guys tonight, too. We have a giveaway item that's pretty cool. We're going to be naming a snake, and we have a special guest.
I'm very excited about all three. But what snake do we got there?
This is actually in light of our guest, and if you know, you know. I brought this girl on. She is a 50% unknown locality Superdwarf Citron, which means het titanium, produced by our friend Chris McVicker. So, Chris McVicker had a little thread going on about Morph Market a little while ago, which I thought ended very productively. But I went downstairs to pick a snake that needed a name. You guys know that we name all the snakes here live on the show. And I saw that she didn't have a name. So I thought that this was an apt opportunity to bring her on just because, I don't know, I enjoy that kind of thing. So she's a cutie pie, though. She's a sweetheart.
Sweet.
I've gotten a version of this snake, I think, almost every year that Chris has made them.
Really?
Yeah, so I've got like a 3-year-old, a 2-year-old,
second and third edition,
like a 2-year-old, a 1-year-old, and stuff like that. Yeah.
Second, third edition, all that.
He's crushing it this year too.
Well, if you guys want to help name this beautiful animal, you guys need to stick around to the end of the show.
To the end of the show.
And our giveaway. I feel like this is probably the most largest giveaway.
It's a pretty good one.
Yeah.
So the way you guys can do this giveaway, we do this stuff because we love you guys. We appreciate the support. You guys are amazing. And especially those of you that support us over on Patreon. Every time we do a live show, we go have like a hangout afterwards. That's a lot of fun. And we have giveaways and talk with people and stuff like that. So after the show, if you can't get enough of our guest and the conversation, you can join us over there. There's a link in the description. And all you have to do is be at that meeting. We're going to give this away to somebody who's there.
Well, and the giveaway is, I'm going to read this whole thing off really quickly. Josh Halter of the BioDude has sponsored an awesome ball python snake bioactive habitat terrarium kit valued at $140. So you get a 10-gallon tank, 2 6-quart bags of terra firma, AAA Chilean or New Zealand sphagnum moss, 2 quarts of oak beech leaf litter, southern palm bark, 12-quart BioShot, 2 cork bark flats, 6-inch glow and grow LED adapter, and 2 assorted tropical plants. Guys, this is good for any animal in the terra firma range, not just for ball pythons. So make sure if you want to check them out, we have a link to their website in the description. We're going to be giving that away on the Patreon after party.
So keeping animals bioactively is all the rage these days. This is basically like a starter kit if you were to go get a baby ball python, that you could keep that animal bioactive right out of the gate. And being a 10-gallon aquarium, like if you had a smaller species than a ball python or something, you could keep it there for life. I know our tarantula lives in about half of that, and she loves it. So thank you very much to the BioDude for providing that. That's going to be exciting. Go ahead and join Patreon. It's like $5 to start. If you guys want a chance at winning that, it's going to be a pretty cool kit. And a good excuse to go out and buy another snake.
Yeah.
Not that I ever need
one.
I don't know about
you also
guys.
get to have an even more personal interaction with us, and more importantly, the guests that we bring on. Speaking of guests, should we bring the man himself on?
Yeah, well, so to preface this, if you guys are avid watchers, then you know last week we did a video about why we at Out Reptiles are moving our sales and animal tracking and stuff over to Morph Market. It's actually a huge move. John Lehmann, who's the founder of Morph Market, and I have been talking about this stuff for years. We have literally, up until a couple of weeks ago when the whole Morph Market thing started, for us, not that they just started a couple weeks ago, but up until then, we'd never posted an ad anywhere. And we had all these different systems and things that we did for, tracking our breedings and doing the sales and all this stuff. It really was like a whole thing. And, yeah, basically, I mean, I'll give you the spoiler. John Lehmann made all the offerings over there at Morph Market so good that I couldn't ignore them anymore. You know what I mean? Like, business was good. A lot of times people just think of it as sales. It's just sales. That's it. And, but there's a lot more. So you guys, if you watched the video last week, you know why we're moving some Superdwarf sales over there. If you don't, you can go check that video out. But we're going to talk about a lot more here tonight. So buckle up, get your questions ready. And yeah, let's bring them on. John Lehmann,
Welcome,
everybody.
John Lehmann.
John, I just want to start this off like, controversially right out of the beginning because it's the best way to do it, right? One of my favorite things that you said to me, I said something about in the beginning, you were asking me what kind of features you could add to your platform that would make it better for breeders, right? And I know that your website was basically started for keepers and shoppers, right? Like the whole tag system to make it an easier shopping experience than we've ever had before. But basically, you're adding all these features, and I was frankly blown away that you would listen to anybody. And I said, you're kind of like the, controlling the reptile market as a whole. You're like this little god of reptile sales and income. And I don't know if you remember telling me this or not, but you're like, well, if I do have to be that god, I would prefer to be a benevolent god, which I thought I thought was hilarious. Do you remember that?
I do. Yep.
Yeah, that was good times. And so ever since then, I've always thought about John Lehmann, the benevolent god of the reptile market. So anyway, that's the way I think of you. But yeah, thanks for coming on the show, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah, I remember that conversation. That might have been the first time we had like a in-depth conversation. It was after it might have been Schaumburg in RBC auction. Certainly, I think it was one of the auctions. I don't remember which one it was, but
yeah, it was either Tinley or Schaumburg, and it was we were like sitting out in the hall and rapping about it for a while. I don't remember, like my ride wasn't there, so we talked for a long time. That was good times. But yeah, that kicked it all off. And what's funny is a lot of the newer things that are incorporating into Morph Market just over the last, I don't know how long it's been, but what is it, like 3-6 months maybe, are things that we talked about in that hallway all those years ago. So you've had it up here the whole time. It's great.
Yeah, we've got a long list. We've got in our issue tracker, just to nerd out for a second, in our issue tracking system where we, you might think of issues or tickets, whenever there's a feature, an idea, a bug to be fixed, we're up into the 4,000s now. And now,
oh wow,
most of those, there's about 1,000 open and about 3,000 closed. So that just tells you, even after all this time, we have lots of lists, long lists of things we want to do, improve, fix.
It's got to be so hard too, because I mean, so coming from where I come from, I always do everything my own way. We are having to completely revamp everything to think the Morph Market way, if you will. It's really, I mean, it's just different. It's different than what we do. So when we come at it, and if I have an idea for you, it's obviously based on my own perspective. But how many other breeders, I mean, maybe you know this, how many breeders are selling on Morph Market about?
I mean, in a given year, I would say probably 10,000.
So 10,000 unique perspectives that you're trying to juggle just from the breeder's side. And then when you think about it in the buyers, like I'm a breeder, right? I have a little stat for you. I know it's out of date, but it was a couple weeks ago, we posted 8 snakes just to try out some ads on Morph Market, and we sold 5 of them in a week. Boom. Like a couple weeks ago. So thank you, sir. Yeah, exactly.
Love it.
And I think it's actually more than that because Joe just put a fresh batch of listings up on there. So, but if I'm a breeder and I'm posting, 20, 30, maybe 200, 2,000 sometimes, depending on what the species are and the breeders and all that. The juggling, helping the buyers has got to be even crazier.
Well, we try to, our goal is to set up the site. I mean, there's always things we can improve, right? And we are improving it. Our goal is to make the site intuitive, right? That's the best. I've got a book on my shelf that says, "Don't make me think." That's kind of a principle of user interface. It should be self-evident how the thing works. But if it doesn't, we want to have it easy enough someone to figure it out on their own. If not, we want to have a little question mark, a little link, and go to a support article. And if not, we want to be able to, get an email and answer your question within 24 hours. So we have a hierarchy of, ways to try to answer questions, and then we have forums, of course, and then people help each other. But our goal is ultimately to make it super easy to use.
That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. So it's been fun to see where, so like I'm a 90s kid and I did a lot of buying of reptiles in the early 2000s. So my thing was like Fauna Classifieds or kingsnake.com. And you almost had to be a reptile expert to shop on those things. I mean, there was a lot of ads and it was good, but everything was just like, boom, here it is. Like if I wanted to go look at, let's say, reticulated pythons, it was just, you're just getting blasted by any and every reticulated python out there. And it was like a line item thing. They didn't even have pictures or anything. It was like you had to read the description and see if you were going to click on it. And then like, I don't know, at least 70% of the time it was like nowhere near what you wanted. So you have to go click back to that main page and scroll through the list again. And I mean, it literally would take me like, I was just kind of keeping an eye on stuff, but it would take me like an hour a day just to keep up with that. It was, if you guys think of Craigslist, that was what it was like before Morph Market. Now we have all the filters and all that stuff. How'd you come up with the like idea for that? Were you frustrated as a shopper yourself, or where did the origination of it come from?
Yeah, the origination was 2014 when I was a ball python. Don't hate ball python collector. I mean, I started there. I started with them, and yeah, just it's not an original story. At least in terms of my problems, I was trying to work on certain projects. I was looking for certain animals with certain genetics, and on those sites, like you said, they're kind of like forum based. They're forum software that's been lightly modified for the reptile purpose.
For classifieds,
but they're classifieds with that are but no domain specific customization. But the problem is, like, for starters, the search would, just didn't work. You put keywords in, people would put price lists, and so your keywords would hit all across the different items in the price list they posted. So you'd have one trait hitting that line item, one trait hitting that one. It wasn't what you wanted. And I come from a background where I worked in natural language processing for a long time, and part of that is search, right? So it's just like, we can do way better than this. And so that was kind of my frustration. Interestingly enough, I actually the side project at the end of 2014 that got the ball rolling was I was trying to write some machine learning algorithms to just nothing too fancy, but just kind of like, given some description of an animal, spit out a rough price estimate of what it should be, we think it's worth today. Not a prediction of the future, just kind of current value. Yeah. And as such, the original name for the Morph Market project in the code was called Ball Price, because I was working with ball pythons and I wanted the price. It's called Ball Price. And if you hacked Morph Market today, you would find pieces of code and things that are named Ball Price because of that.
That's funny. That's pretty cool.
But anyway, I needed data. Machine learning generally requires data. It's the algorithms are as smart as the data. So I started gathering some data, and at some point in that process, I pivoted. I don't know what I was thinking, honestly. I thought, I'll build a marketplace. I don't know what I was thinking, because I didn't think it would be that hard. No one ever thinks.
Yeah, right. I've got this great idea. Right.
So I started working on the marketplace, and I thought, a few months in, I was kind of bored, but I'm like, oh, I got to work a few more months and I'll be done, with the 1.0 or whatever. And I did launch it in October of 2015. So 9 months in, I was able to launch the first version with ball pythons only. But that was it. And then I knew from there. By that point, I knew it was gonna be a long journey. There was, the longer it's like those issues I was talking about. It's like you solve one and you create four more. So I figured out it was gonna be, there was light, and the tunnel was so long I couldn't see it.
Yeah.
At that point, but I was passionate enough to commit. My wife was understanding enough to allow me to do. I had a day job, but I'd put those mornings, evenings, and weekends in those early years, especially.
And is it working out pretty well for you now? You guys are doing good down there?
Yeah, it's gone well. In 2017, that's when we rolled out everything was 100% free up until then. Then we started to, have memberships. And so that went really well. So that was fuel in the tank to keep going. And in 2020, I was able to go right kind of mid-pandemic or early pandemic. I was able to go full time and quit my day job. And so that was obviously a great thing for my family, not having to think about, one thing in the daytime and this other thing other time. And then I got family and then I got other stuff. So that was a huge blessing. Yeah, and things are going well. Today it's more even keel. And I've got later in 2021, 22, we built a team. So now I have a team of people around me helping. It's no longer, I do write code every now and then, but it's no longer, that's not my primary responsibility.
That's cool. So I actually wanted to ask you this because, like, we have a YouTube channel. Everybody's seen tours of the shop and all that kind of stuff. They know our team and all that stuff. What does Morph Market look like? And I know that you're saying, 2021, 22, that's pretty recent as far as building out a team. Like, holy smokes, you've been doing a lot on your own in those few years prior, which is pretty crazy to think about. But yeah, what is the reality of Morph Market right now?
As far as the team goes, and I guess it was probably the beginning of 2020, early 2020 is when I started adding team members, actually, before I even went full time, now that I think about it. So for a solid 3 years, it's been more than John. And you can actually go to morphmarket.com/about, I believe it's about, and it'll show you the team. It's got photos and some bios, but in high level terms, we've got, development team. Well, let me start with the customer success team, because those are some of our most important people. We have a Thomas on our team. He's in England. We've got Judy Clothier, who's our director of customer success, and Alex. So we've got our CS team that they're the ones that are interacting with users, helping answer questions, resolving disputes, doing moderation activities. We have some other volunteers who are experts in certain species, and they help us with some of those questions. And when they don't know, they reach out to others. Some maybe Garrett, but maybe others, to help answer, what is this, and this situation's happening. So that's the CS team. We have a development team, about 5 developers, and then I have some people that help me on more of a part-time basis for like marketing or all the different other areas.
No offices or anything. Does everybody work from their like home office type of situation? Is that kind of how it looks?
Exactly. Yeah. That's I guess what you were asking. We're 100% remote. So I just moved into a different house. But yeah, closed down the old Morph Market HQ a month ago, and it was a little 8x8 kind of office that I was in I put a lot of hours in that. Probably 10,000 hours in that office for Morph Market, probably.
It's pretty, it's got to be pretty sentimental to look at it. I know when I go down, I look at the basement, I'm like, I can't even believe we fit what we fit in here. Like, what is going on?
I'm so glad we're not playing footsies though anymore, Garrett.
Thomas and I literally shared the desk that he's sitting at because we didn't have room for 2 desks. We had 1 desk. So we sat on it from opposite sides with our knees interlocking all day long. Computer screens back to back. It was pretty cool.
In the early days, I had 30 snakes in the room too. I was just telling, of course, you talk to your non-reptile friends and you tell them these things, and like I had 30. Actually, it was a realtor I was talking to. I was like, yeah, there used to be 30 snakes in that room at a time.
You don't want to tell them that when you're selling the house, though. They get all kinds of weird ideas.
Right.
I rented a truck from Enterprise today, and they're like, every time you guys bring one back, we're always like, oh, as we're cleaning it out. Like, am I going to find a snake under the mat or something like that? I'm like, I don't know what you guys think of us reptile people. Like, we're just running around with snakes in our pockets all the time. I haven't done that since I was 10. Okay? Come on. Well, except for those last few couple of times.
Yesterday we had a Valentine's party over here for my daughter. She's in 5th grade, her class, and my wife tells me, because I didn't see this, but she went in the back room, got our Dumerals boa and brought it out. And one of the poor little girls was so scared, crying, and she ran in the restroom and shut the door. And we felt really terrible. And of course, we talked to our daughter about, hey, that wasn't a good idea we gotta be sensitive to everybody. And but their family's really sweet about it. But yeah, there you go.
I haven't seen somebody react like that in a long time. So yeah, there's not too many people that are that usually when they see you handling it, they're like, okay, they're safe, so it's probably okay. I'll keep my distance or whatever. But,
well, and usually kids are rarely scared, right?
Yeah.
But it turns out that the parents are scared as well, and so that's probably where that phobia developed. But they were really sweet about it. Anyway, Garrett, you probably don't have friends like that because those friends left you a long time ago.
Yeah, sure, that's true. True story. I used to always do a first date at the zoo. I was like, I'm just gonna unload right now, and if you can take me geeking out over animals at the zoo, we can have a second date. But if you're like weirded out by this, there's no way I'm ever gonna introduce you to like my personal life because it's way worse than just a zoo. So yeah,
right.
that's what you got to
Smart
do.
idea.
Well, Thomas, I don't know if we have any questions in the chat or anything from John. I mean, you guys saw the video, you enjoyed it. We're having a great time with the Superdwarfs on there. I think this is one of the things. I know you talked to me early on saying, hey, we've got this thing for ball pythons. It was back when everything was free. You're like, we're going to start charging memberships and all that. And I think you might have had like one or two other species in kind of beta. And you were saying, we want to add reticulated pythons. And one of the things that your software didn't really like account for at the time or whatever. I mean, you could easily do all the retic morphs, but my side of it was like localities, and they don't track like Mendelian genetics, right? So it's not simple recessive or dominant or whatever, hets. There's none of that. It's percentages of locality based on bloodline data, and you just didn't have anything built out that way. So I'm pretty excited to see it changing, because we're definitely not the only ones that track stuff like that. But in my world, in the dwarf and super dwarf world, that's kind of everything, right? So I'm pretty excited to see some of that functionality coming into the Morph Market thing. But
Yeah, if you're in the chat and you do have any questions for John, you could super chat that. That's probably the most obvious way you can draw that to my attention, or just drop a question, and then later on we could maybe slide it in there. But yeah, if you have any questions, feel free to drop those there. But yeah, why don't we get into some of the like new features maybe of Morph Market?
yeah, so one of the things that I honestly, this is like the reason I brought you on here for everybody. I want to talk about your projects features. This is something that, and I told you guys at the beginning, Morph Market is creating like a one-stop shop, entire ecosystem for reptile keepers and breeders, really at all levels. And so it's not just a classifieds forum, it's evolved so much since then to kind of take over. I mean, John, I can't tell you how many different kind of like reptile based software, different tracking and tools and things like that we've tried over the years. And us personally, we always end up going back to like tape on the tubs. You know what I'm saying? But some of the stuff that you've come up with recently, and especially in the projects thing, it really ties together our breeding operation department, if you will, with the sales department. And so you're definitely like expanding. Can you tell me a little bit more about that?
Sure. So yeah, it's definitely an ecosystem. I mean, we see ourselves, we're a platform for the industry. It's not just the buying and selling. It's the event system to locate expos. It's the Morphpedia to have a knowledge base of expert information crowdsourced from the community. It's the forums. And what we're really excited about that we've been focusing on recently is everything that comes before the animal goes for sale. People sometimes say, use the phrase like before it hits Morph Market. Before it hits Morph Market, you'll see it on Facebook, or before it hits Morph Market, this or that. And we're blowing that expression away now, because there's no more before Morph Market. We want to be providing services all the way from you have that idea, you make a plan, and you're pairing animals all the way
And
from there.
that's a big thing. Like, I think a lot of people put a couple snakes together, they get some babies and they put them out. But for us, I mean, we are very, very careful in planning this stuff. I remember our first stage was like post-it notes. We're moving around, what we're going to do. But all of that can be done with the stuff you're talking about now.
So I guess the first thing that we announced a few weeks ago is Morph Market projects, what you've already referenced a few times. And projects entail what we just talked about. It's everything before a listing. In fact, even the listings, over a year ago now, when we started to really improve the animal management capabilities of the platform, we stopped calling these things internally ads or listings, and we started calling them animals. I mean, they were technically, we always called them, in the database they're snakes, but whether they're lizards or amphibians or whatever, but now we've generalized everything's an animal, And your animals can be that are in the system. They can be for sale, or they could be not for sale. They could be on loan. It could be sold. They could be archived. So there's a number of different states that animal can be in the system. And so again, projects, I would characterize as being, before it's listed for sale. And even like a couple months ago, we added a new maturity. Before it was baby, subadult, and adult, we added another maturity called pre-established. And that, allows people to list their animals that aren't even ready to go out the door, but they want to go ahead and start advertising it and having conversations about that. So you've even got that. But even prior to that stage where they're for sale in some sense or another, that's a project. Now, so projects, what exactly do projects allow users to do? Well, now users can, in the same way that users can browse animals for sale by traits and then narrow in with searches and filters. And then as of a few months ago, save searches and get alerts. And maybe we can dig into that in a second. All of that rich interaction is now available for not just those animals for sale, but the things that come before it's for sale. And what are those things? Well, basically, broadly, it's a couple of stages. You have a pairing. You take two animals that are, your two breeders, put them together, you have a pairing. That's the first step of a project that is now discoverable by users if you make it public. If as a breeder, you create a pairing, you make it public, now users can discover that. Then that pairing, eventually the female ovulates, and now it begins what we call an offspring group, a clutch or a litter, right? And then if it's a egg-laying species, then you would have the kind of the egg stage, and then you have when their animals are finally hatched out. So all of those steps are part of projects, and this new system lets the users discover them, search, and get alerts, and it lets we facilitate the breeders planning those projects, tracking keeping records, tracking, and then promoting what they're doing.
Now, within projects also, it begins as more data is entered. It's going to begin tracking basically lineages, right? So let's say that I have this animal and she breeds and she produces a clutch in 2024, and then another one in 2025, and another one in 2026. When a viewer clicks on this animal, they can actually go see all of her babies that she's produced throughout the years and track all of her clutches and litters and where they went. So this is what's crazy to me, because when you rolled this out, this was a major point. I don't know, because a lot of people are familiar with our system. They see the front side of it, but they don't see the back side. This system replaced like 5 different programs for us. So with us, one of the first things that happens, we do our pairings. Like you said, okay, we're going to put these two animals together. So if someone calls and they say, hey, listen, I want a Superdwarf cow, are you going to have any of that this year? We have our lists of pairings and all that stuff, and that's all recorded in our breeding books. And we say, yeah, we're going to have a Phantom to a GCOGS. They should be 50% Kalatoa. They might hatch out around June, let's say. And they go, oh, great. How do I buy one? Can I put a deposit? For us, we don't take deposits in advance. So we say, no, but I can get you on a waiting list. Now, a waiting list was very challenging for me to manage, because you have to go down and contact all these people. Like we do first come, first serve, can't buy your way to the top, any of that kind of stuff. We were pretty strict about it, but it was something that I had to manage sometimes for years, because I would have someone say, well, I want one of these, and I wouldn't hatch one for 2 years. So I would either call them and they'd be like, woohoo, finally, or whoa, I'm so over that. Like, I can't believe you even saved my number. You know what I mean? But yeah, we would have these waiting lists. And then from my waiting list, when I hatched a clutch, I would go down and I would send out alerts like you're talking about, but I had to use that program MailChimp. And I would actually, some of you guys that are watching probably have gotten these emails from me in the past, where it's like, here's the mom, here's the dad. These are the your morph calculator. We would basically type all that out by hand. These are the potential offspring. This is what they're going to cost. Get your money ready. And then when they would come up, we would have to photograph the whole clutch, and then we would build out a page on our website. The mom, the dad, the details of the breeding, individual pictures of all the babies, and then inquire for the price, because we didn't ever put like buy it now or ads up on our own website even. We just said, these are the snakes we're making. If you guys are interested, let's have a conversation and do all that kind of stuff. So we would go through that, and then we have to track in a spreadsheet our sales, our customer information, all the history on that kind of stuff, follow up things. You've basically taken all of this now and wrapped it into Morph Market. And the cool thing is it connects in a way that is the future of what I was building towards, which is basically, and a lot of people in the reptile industry have talked about this, and some of us make them on our own manually, but kind of like a stud book record or a pedigree of the animals, if you will, where it's like, here's the mom, here's the dad, here's this, here's that. We have a system with a hashtags, like, if this is clutch 1 from last year in 2022, it would be hashtag CL22001. And everybody can follow that across social media and see everyone else that, is enjoying those animals and it building the community. All of this, all of my innovations over the years, you have wrapped into one thing and made it to where it's like click, click, and everybody can find it for themselves. We used to have customers that would figure out our system for creating new pages on our website and hack into our breeding pairings early before they were listed publicly. You know what I mean? You've taken all of that away.
Yeah, we've worked on that for sure. That stuff's annoying. Public, private, unlisted visibility options. But yeah, I mean, you guys are smart and you've been doing it for a long time, and you've come up with the best systems. And some of those probably were more manual, like spreadsheets. Some of them you probably put a lot of money into website creation and all that. And our joy is to build something that is as good or better than what the state-of-the-art breeder can put together for himself, and then make it available to everybody, which is bad news for you, Garrett, but it's good news for you because
it's the equalizer.
It's the equalizer, right? Because like how many breeders can afford to put together that set of tools and websites with all that functionality? Not very many. But now for the same, all the stuff I've talked about, there's no additional price for it. So for the same price as breeders already paying for years, thousands of breeders, they get all this stuff for essentially free.
Yeah. So this is good news for me. And a lot of people would, see it from the perspective that you're taking, like, this is bad news for you. But I'm telling you, I have had to, like, how many monthly subscriptions do we have for this? How many different, I pay literally thousands and thousands of dollars to take online tools that don't do what I want, because they weren't made for reptiles. They were made for sending out email spam or something like that, and running waiting list stuff through that, or a website from Wix that's made to sell stuff that people buy cheap from China and sell expensive in America. And now I'm trying to track bloodlines with it or something like that. So it absolutely is 100% better for me. And I don't even mind the fact that it's an equalizer, because what it does is it takes away all of the bullcrap about owning a reptile business, and it makes the focus the animals. If anybody can do it, I can't now compete with a flashy email or my spreadsheet is better or this or that. That's not what I'm competing on. I'm competing on the animals themselves, because even if I present them online, I have a limited number of fields that I can fill out and play and change, and everybody else has those too, right? So it's literally like my animal against the next guy's. And so you're 100% putting the power into the hands of the buyers, which is honestly something that we've always done. It's just you bring a level of accountability with it. Because when we say, I don't want to tell you the price of this animal online, I want you to inquire. People can be like, well, that's sort of fishy. Are you going to try to say, well, how much money do you have available? And then tell me it's $5 less than that, and then I'm getting a deal, and take me for all I'm worth, and then sell one for half as much to the next guy? No, it was never about that. The animals have prices. They have what we're willing to sell them for. But with our animals, it's a range of bloodlines, which means different sizes, which means different compatibility for owners. And we want to make sure the right animals are going to the right homes, and that people aren't buying them on a label alone, which is the number one reason we never put them on an ad. We want to have those conversations. But even with Morph Market, if we put our animals on there, you can track them back to their lineage because we're going to fill out all our project pages. You can connect with anybody else that has got those. You can see the reviews of people who own the animals from us now. They can tell you what it was like, purchasing from us. And they still are having conversations every day. We're coming in and we're like, okay, we got all these inquiries from Morph Market. We need to have all these conversations. It's just not going through our email anymore. It's this Morph Market inbox, right? So yeah, it's awesome. I love the way that you're doing it. You are definitely putting the power in the buyer's hands to not, get duped by a bunch of flashy marketing or magic tricks, right? And so the fact that you've kind of worked out the locality, lineage, and accountability there in the same way you wouldn't want breeders. I mean, they can kind of do whatever they want with your platform. They can abuse it, certainly, but you wouldn't want somebody selling things that are hets that are not. You wouldn't want somebody selling something as a Superdwarf that's not. And so as soon as that was, technologically capable, that Morph Market was technologically capable of that, you adding all these other features that eliminate all this other stuff for us is just fantastic. Now there's one place to go. There's one system to learn. And if a customer buys an animal from me, does that also now track from Morph Market? Let's say I were to sell this girl, or we'll use it in this way. I bought her from Chris McVicker. Let's say I bought her on Morph Market. That animal moved from Chris to me and I put her in a breeding plan now. Is that stuff that's all got that chain of records in Morph Market?
We don't have that step yet, but that's definitely on our list. We call that animal transfer. For example, some things that we're going to be working on in the next 6 months include, well, we've already started working on like payments. So the ability to, and whether we use Square or something else, the ability, it just streamlines the experience to be able to transfer money on site. There's better records. It saves the breeder time. It saves everybody time and confusion, gives us more visibility if there's a dispute. We want to then hook in shipping so that you don't have to go to, Redline or Ship Your Reptiles or whatever platform. You'll be able to get that label from your company through our site. We're going to offer that service to all the different shipping platforms. And then on the back end of that would be animal transfer. And now all the records that have been accumulated for that animal could transfer right to your buyer.
Right. And I think a lot of people see it as like, oh, Morph Market can pick this or dictate that or whatever. But like you said, the tools are very equalizing. Anybody can use these things, and it's forcing people to compete at a level that is always going to be better for the customer. Whether they're sharpening their prices to be more competitive, or advancing their bloodlines to be more competitive, or adding additional customer service layers to be more competitive. All those value propositions have to come. So I'm just playing around on the back end of it and adding all that stuff. I'm very, very impressed and excited with what I see. I'm sure all the ball python guys that are watching in the chat are like, yeah, of course, dummy, you know what I mean, or whatever. But it's all a new fun thing for me to see how much, it's all just slightly different, but you, like any different issue I've had or things that I've had to develop over the years in our business to track and do what we do, you've got it now on Morph Market, and it's amazing. And it's been snowballing ever since, like your range of offerings and stuff. It's been really, really exciting.
We're doing the best we can. And like I said, and everything's not done, but we've done a lot. We're excited with the recent progress, and there's been quite a few things between our redoing our search and making it more powerful, the alerts, the real-time messaging, and then the plans and projects. Those are some of the things in the last, 4 or 5 months.
Dang, that's pretty cool. So sneak peek as to what's coming from the future, huh?
Do you want me to do a little screen share and we could take a glance at a couple of those things, or do we have time?
Yeah, I think we do. What time is it?
Yeah, we got some time. We got some time.
I'm having fun.
We
I say go for it.
a little bit late.
Do we have any questions from the chat for John?
Not quite. You actually answered the one question we got, which I was like right about when I was gonna ask it. In regards to what happens when you transfer an animal, when you buy an animal, does it track, like that sort of thing? Other than that, people are just saying how much they love Morph Market, and I think they're really excited about the features that you guys are adding.
Yeah, so show us some of the stuff, because I've been playing with it on the back end, but I bet a lot of people haven't seen it, especially if they're not currently breeding, right? So this is something for those of you guys that are like buying snakes now and growing them up to breed. This is what you have to look forward to. Don't even, I mean, take my word for it. Don't even go anywhere else. Don't bother. It's such a nightmare to invent everything from scratch. And John has so many people from other species making it work. Just go to Morph Market and do it, because it's getting really, really good.
Garrett, why don't you tell me, I could do a ball python demo, but tell me, steer me around here, what I'm going to show first are projects. And so, just using the menu or, on the homepage, I mean, if people are familiar with Morph Market at all, you can
Well, let's go with a ball python one, because I think a lot of the breeders there have probably like been more invested in on there longer, right? Than we would if we went into retics, especially with the Superdwarf stuff and everything. So, I would love to see something. I mean, let's see. How about? I mean, the clown stuff is really popular, right? But I don't know what direction do you want me to take it from? Am I shopping for a snake right now?
Yeah. No, we'll dive into projects. So yeah, if we were shopping by default, when we choose a category, we land on the index for that category. So the category being ball python here, right? And so you can see all the genetics. And, by the way, some people might know, if you click on this card for clown, it's going to show us anything with the clown gene. But if you click on one of these colored boxes, it would show you a visual head or possible head.
I only want visuals. Yeah, let's start there. Visual clown stuff.
But instead of looking at the listings, we're going to use this tab and jump over to projects. See the little new tab there. So now we're not looking at counts of animals for sale. We're looking at counts of projects that could produce this particular gene or trait. So let's go look at projects that could produce visual clowns. And these could be pairings, or they could be clutches as well.
Just depending on where they're at, and that, like, it's a planned pairing, it's a pairing they got eggs for, and all that kind of stuff.
Exactly. So here's AK Morphs, and she's pairing up this animal that has clown to an animal that's het clown. So of course, a possibility from that pairing is a visual clown. And we get to see right below here, because the offspring hasn't hatched yet, we're showing possible outcomes. We run our calculator and we show all the possibilities of what could be produced. And so that's kind of what we can see there. The waitlisting feature that you mentioned, we're going to be adding that within a few weeks. And so then that will be another, right now we can see what's going on here, but that'll give us an actual way to engage
to where I can say, hey, I want a clown from AK, maybe I want a female, and I can sign up for an animal from that clutch while I shop. That's awesome.
Exactly. So that was a pairing. Here is a clutch, and let's see what this looks like. So I guess technically there's not much of a difference here because they produced the clutch, but theoretically this means that this is further along. It's I guess we have eggs, although it doesn't have egg counts. This might be, we may need to combine these concepts here because this may be a gravid female. So we have the same kind of view as before. Let me see if I can find one that's going to look a little different. There's a clutch, because you should be able to see. Okay, here we go. Here's one with actual still a clutch. This one actually, well, it says not available. This one actually
holding everything back.
This one does have eggs already. All right, so that's that next stage, and we're still dialing in some of this and how we want. That's cool. So it shows 8 eggs and the expected. We actually got an expected hatch date of March 26th on that one.
Now if you were mentioning, I want to jump back to like the breeder's perspective for a sec while you look that up. I mean, you could go ahead and find one that's got babies or whatever, but you were saying that you already have this obviously morph calculator feature, right? Let's say as a breeder, I'm going to attempt 12 breedings in a year. When I put all my pairings down, does that show me, you can run morph calculators for each one of those individually, but will it compile all the possibilities statistically of what I would get?
Yes, exactly.
So I can look and be like, maybe I need to change some of these pairings because I'm getting way too many platinums, or maybe I really thought I did enough to try to get that visual double recessive snow, but this is saying I only have the chance of getting 1 or 2 this year.
Right. So if we go in our menu over, either up here to under breed, your animals is your animal manager, breeding is your breeding plans. So let's go to the breeding plans, and I have a couple ball pythons put in here, and this shows right now you only get one plan for this year, but we're going to set it up so that you can have as many plans as you want to if you want to experiment with different things without messing others up. And so what I've done is, I could explain in a second how we can construct the plan, but in the upper right corner, and by the way, I can click on any of these pairings and you see that same view where it shows the possible outcomes. But the feature you're asking about is I click on this outcomes button in the upper right, it shows me the combined outcomes from all the pairings if they were all to successfully go through.
So guys, let me explain this. So we had 69 attempted pairings for Superdwarf retics this year. We always assume a clutch size of 16, which works well with a Punnett square. And for 69 breedings, I sit down and calculate out the statistics of what we will produce because we are very intentional about how many snakes we can make. We compare to the previous year's sales. Do we have heightened demand for this or lessened demand for that? Because we are really trying to get this market to where everybody can enjoy a Superdwarf, right? So if we only produce high-end stuff and then sell kind of like the leftover genetic animals, nobody really benefits from that. Whereas if everybody's telling me they want more of these, I can sit down and look at like, okay, how many more of these do I need to make? So this is just a feature that what John just did, he went click, 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 and it shows him what he can get. Probably would have taken me 2 weeks here at Reach Out Reptiles to do. And now all I have to do is list all the pairings, this to that, and they pop out.
That's right. And the expected count will actually tell you how many you would expect to get out in aggregate, right? And so when you were talking, I have it set to default as 6, but I bumped it to 15 because that sounds like it's more appropriate for reticulated pythons. And you can see like this particular lesser 50% het sunset, we expect about 16 of those. We can click here and see which of our pairings actually is it deriving that from. And then you can interact with traits and stuff, see which outcomes you have from those traits.
I don't know if you have been on the opposite side of doing this yet, but it's literally blowing my mind that you can do this. Because there's a lot of projects where we're like, hey, we want to make a couple of these high-end snakes for ourselves, and maybe we'll sell a pair if we get extras. I want to make sure that I hit them, but I don't want to make 40 of them because then my market is saturated before I'm able to build it. So this strategically, I mean, I harp on our channel all the time. The problem with any kind of pet community, could be dogs, cats, or anything, is the number of unwanted animals that go out there. Well, any of us that are breeding, we know what we want. We know what our customers are asking for. But sometimes what we lack is planning. We don't go in and we don't plan it out appropriately. We take so much time and effort here at Reach Out Reptiles to intentionally plan to get the right numbers of animals, and then it's still all up to chance because you could have good odds or bad odds and miss them. And we, those of you guys that follow along our videos as we hatch snakes and stuff, we're so excited when it works out or we get those good odds or whatever. But it should not and is not all let's make the most expensive snakes we can all the time, because that's not 100% of the market. You can literally overshoot the market if you produce too many animals that are too high for the number of clients that you have. And then what you end up with is a softened market and unwanted animals, which is devastational, not to the market, because honestly, who cares about that? It's devastational to the animals that they're like too expensive to let go to someone who would really love them. And so they sit in a rack at a breeder's facility for a year, 2 years, 3 years. This functionality that John is doing is going to allow this kind of next level planning to anybody that has a couple of snakes they want to make, couple of breedings, all the way up to people like us, where last year was 69. This coming year it's going to be probably double that, but we can do it. We can keep expanding because we know we can make the animals that people want and get them in the right homes. So this stuff is crazy, John. It's like click for you, and it's 2 weeks of work for me with all this strategy and intentionality. It's funny.
And I'll highlight the animal manager and the planning tool that I'm showing right now, these are free. So even if someone doesn't have a selling account, they don't have a membership, they can try this out today. Put your animals in. I would recommend, watch. We've got a couple videos on YouTube on the Morph Market channel we just put out. They're just like 2 minutes long each. That'll show an advertisement. They'll show projects and they'll show plans, and it'll kind of go through the system and give you an idea. It goes fast. My demo videos go fast. They do a bunch of things, but it'll give you an idea and you can always click on the little information icon here and then get some kind of step-by-step instructions, just so you know what else available to you there.
That's awesome. I love it. I think it's amazing. You guys, I know a lot of you guys watching geek out and check out all of our clutches and stuff that we have on our website. We are literally, this is going to terrify everybody. I'm going to drop the bomb right now, John, okay? We are getting rid of all of that. We're literally moving all of it into Morph Market now, to where, because his system, it looks different than our stuff. It might not look like the classic Reach Out Reptile stuff, but it's so much more capable for you guys to see what's going on that it's uncanny. You can just run it. Look how cute that is. A little Reach Out Reptiles ad on Morph Market. Something you never thought you were going to see. It's been great.
On that clutch.
No. So what we've been doing is just toying with, it's all so new for us. We've just been putting up some animals right now. So all of our stuff we're doing is like compiling all our lists. Wait until we get the first clutches hatched for 2023, because we're going to have those all built out. Literally earlier this week, I sat down with Abby and Jody, and we took pictures of like 40 adults so that we can document all of the parents, all of the pairings that we have coming up. We'll have hit all those babies when they hit, because we've got a lot of eggs cooking right now that we don't yet have on Morph Market. But as we are perfecting the way that we post the ads, as that we are transferring over, I mean, there's even things like just the aspect ratios of the photos have to change, right? From what we were doing to what you're doing and everything like that. So this is just, this is more of like a future talk than anything. We currently have live Reach Out Reptiles ads. You can go buy a snake on Morph Market right now. But for the 2023 season, there's not going to be that breeding page like there was in 2022 and 2021. It's all going to be on Morph Market. So just you wait. It's going to be fun. Thomas, are we? Do you have anything you want to throw in from the chat? I can't see what's going on down there. I'm geeking out a little bit as I watch John do this, because I'm like, this is so exciting. The possibilities for the future of the show.
Yeah, you do get very excited, and it is fun to see that and hear all these future exciting things that people can be looking out for. We did get one question that was interesting. Todd Danielson asked, "What will data be mined and provided so that breeders can see what potential customers are searching for?"
Yep, that is a part of what I call market analytics, and that has definitely been on the list for a long time. And we would like to provide that in the future. Yes.
That's an awesome feature. And I would think too, like that's a great like pro level feature. You know what I mean? Where you're giving them access to stuff like that, because there's serious value in that with inquiries and all that kind of stuff. That's a great question, Todd. Thank you for asking that.
We also had another question from Duran. This might be stupid, but can they add arrow keys controls to scroll through photos?
So like on like here on an individual ad page.
I believe that's what we're talking about.
Duran, are you talking about on an ad from one to the next, or are you talking about from one ad to the next?
He said, yep. He said on that specific functionality.
Yeah, that's a great idea. You guys can always just know that you can email support@morphmarket.com and send your ideas. We always, any idea that comes in, we record it. And many times we already have one of those tickets that's got the idea, and we'll put your vote there. And the more attention and more requests it gets, it kind of gets bumped up the list in terms of prioritization. So we appreciate that feedback.
And guys, this is the best thing about, I'm just going to brag on you for a second, John, if I haven't done enough yet. Don't let your head get too big there, buddy. But the reason I pulled this snake out from Chris McVicker is that when the Superdwarf thing launched and it had like locality data and all that, there wasn't a section for unknown locality Superdwarf. which a lot of you guys know, if you go back far enough, a lot of the original locality was unknown on those super dwarfs. And so, he was talking about that online very shortly after the whole super dwarf thing was kind of refreshed, right? And geez, John, I think you had the functionality done by the end of the day. Does that sound about right? I mean, it was crazy. Like, people were talking about it. It was like, yeah, that is a good idea. That's definitely a good function. You wouldn't want to filter people out that have legitimate super dwarfs just because they have those bloodlines that were imported, from the group of Superdwarf Islands or whatever, without knowing a specific island. And so this little girl would have literally not qualified as a Superdwarf, even though she is. And he had the functionality done by the end of the day. So that stuff is awesome. You guys have always been great with customer service. So make sure you guys, jump in there and ask. I think that stuff's great. So in the same way, we love to hear from you guys. If you have questions about the snakes and you feel like we're bothering us or something, you're not. We love talking shop. John's got that. What did you say it was, support@morphmarket.com? Mm-hmm. So you've got an entire email account just for you guys to be able to do that stuff, which is awesome. So very cool.
One thing, Garrett, I did while you were talking is I created a search. Basically, I went into animals and I filtered to reach out reptiles, and I saved the search. And there's a little feature here where it says share, which copied a link to that search, and I pasted it in the chat. And so if Thomas or somebody can grab that and paste it out into YouTube, that is a link that your users should be able to click. And then within like 2 clicks, they can set up an alert so that they'll be notified when you post animals for sale.
Dang.
So already added. Check the link in the description if you are interested in enjoying that feature.
So they can literally just click and not only can they get there to see everything from Reach Out Reptiles that's on Morph Market, but like Joe is putting up a couple ads every day. They're going to get alerts. Mm-hmm. Bam, it's fresh. It dropped. That's right. Great. That's great. Because I know that a couple of them he posted this morning sold like right away, I guess, or whatever he was saying. So I think people assume because we do waiting lists that we never have availability, which isn't true. You'll see just how much it's there. We have waiting lists on certain animals, but other animals that we have available, you can buy them today. So that's great. Thanks, John. That's really cool. I mean, the more we can learn about how to use this technology, the better the tool becomes.
Well, we did, while you were saying all that, we did get a super chat. We actually got 2 super chats I wanted to shout out before we go on to naming the snake, because we are running a little past time. We got a super chat from Cold Retix. Cold Retix, what's up, Spencer? Says, does Morph Market have open API? John, I believe that's a question for you.
No, we don't have any open APIs right now. What I guess I assume that they mean to like up so that they can write some software that can like create an ad or export their data, something like that.
And then we also got a super chat from Ravishing Reptiles, $10, says, you're the man, Garrett. Thank you so much, Ravishing Reptiles, for your support.
Thank you, guys.
All of that good does go to support our live stream studio. I believe we're still working on that desk.
We are. We're so close. We might actually have it by the end.
We also got another super chat from Susie Sweat Lewis from
Susie?
Ship Your Reptiles. What's up, Susie? She said, I don't want to interrupt. I just want to do my usual donation to the set. Thank you so much, Susie.
Thank you very much. Love you guys over there at Ship Your Reptiles.
All right, let's name a snake.
Well, I think you're going to have to explain it. What I think we're going to do is let John go ahead and be the benevolent reptile god that he is and dictate the name of this Chris McVicker snake for all eternity. So do you want to run him down the rules, and then the rest of you guys, most of you probably know how this works, but if you don't, here's how it works.
Actually, you run them through the rules. I need to make one adjustment back here before we do that.
All right. Okay, so basically what we're going to do, we're going to take this little female, and you guys are going to drop name suggestions in the chat, and then Thomas is going to go ahead and read those off, John. And so you can just kind of sit back and listen anonymously. Don't look at who's chatting them in there. You're not allowed to pick. It has to be like the equalizer, right? It's based on merit alone. And when you hear a name that catches your attention, like, yes, that's perfect for this snake, then you drop the name, and forevermore she shall be that. And you guys will be able to see her later on Morph Market. Do we have a snake cam tonight?
We do have a snake cam tonight. Guys, go ahead and drop your names. I'm going to start reading them off for John.
All right, John, you ready?
All right, we're starting
Ready.
to get some names in. We got Trinity, Apex, Titan from how Titanium got its name, Lucia or Lucilla from Gladiator, Frida, Agnes, Olive, another one for Olive, Sammy, Tish, Mighty Mavis, Gloria, Saoirse, that one Irish actress that has a weird last name, Saoirse. I think that's how you pronounce it.
Chub.
Let's see. Tish, Mavis, Gloria, Saoirse, Metallica, Olive Oil, Edith, Nancy, Absolute, like Citron. Oh my gosh, I can't pronounce. Boagrius, Edna, Abby, Roberta, Octavia, Fergie.
What do you think, John? Any of those good?
A lot of good names there.
He's got a
What was
list.
I'm trying to write it all down. They're coming in so fast. Okay.
No, you
wanted
just gotta
to name-
shoot from the
okay,
hip.
Can I give a prompt? I should have
Maybe.
said this at the beginning.
Do it.
Because this animal is an unknown locality super dwarf, I was looking for a name that had some kind of mystery to it.
Okay, with that, go. Second round of names.
Go.
All right,
Good
we
luck
got
writing them all down, John. You're never going to be able to keep up. You just got to be like, yes, that's the one.
Mysterio. They're giving me a pronunciation guide on Boagrius from Troy Myth, Megara, Helena, Cryptid, Pat, Secret, Enigma,
Okay.
Mistos.
We're gonna go. Can I take Mysterio and make it Mysteria because it's a female?
I like it.
Let's do
Mysteria it is. You're going to have to write that one down, Thomas.
Mysteria. All right.
Who
writing
was
that
it?
one
Who won?
down. Let's see. Okay, well, Heartland Reptiles. What's up, Jordan Carpenter?
He won?
Yeah.
Oh, right on. Cool. Good job, Jordan.
Good job, Jordan.
There it is. All right, John, thank you very much. Okay, let's go ahead and just wrap this up. If you guys have questions, John, is there a good way that they can get a hold of your team? Is it just the support at morphmarket.com?
That's the best way. And then if my team, who is always checking, if they can get a quick answer to, they will. And then or they'll forward it to me. So either way, I'm accessible that way.
Okay, and then Thomas, you've got that link in the description. They can
Yep.
just click, see our thing, sign up for alerts. We're going to be dropping quite a large number of retics that are coming up. And I'll say this: if you were thinking about getting a pet retic, now's the time because males are, going on sale and stuff, making room for the new babies to come in. So that'll be pretty exciting. John, thank you so much for all this stuff that you do for the reptile community. Just your willingness to be approachable on this kind of stuff, and for coming on and helping to give us some of these like expert level tips and tricks tonight.
My pleasure. This is fun.
Good. So, John, stay tuned with us. Those of you guys who are on Patreon, you're going to want to jump over there. You're not going to want to miss this amazing donation from the Bio Dude. It's a 10-gallon full bioactive setup ready to go for whatever fits
Like
in there.
42 things included with it, so
You're
it's
muted.
like ready to go. I'm muted for you guys, not
Oh, okay.
not for the audience.
Okay, right on. Yeah, no, it's a really good prize. You guys are going to want to jump over there. Those of you guys who are on Patreon, we will see you at the after party. Get to hang out with Mr. John Lehmann over here. So, thanks, John. Thanks, everybody.
Thank